Hello, I'm Panos Kotzathanasis, and this is ASEAN Movie Pulse interviews. Today I'm here with Zayn Alexandre, whose film Sand Rose just premiered in Red Sea. How are you, Zayn?
I'm good, Panos. I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Uh, okay, so sorry for the first question being kind of a lifestyle one, but how is it working with your mother in the film?
Uh, I mean, there's so many layers to working with people but this wasn't just working with someone who is a professional actress, but this was something personal, also that we had to tap into, and I had to be in my capacity as director. So, I mean, it wasn't easy, but I enjoy working with people I know, with people I'm familiar with. And if I wasn't sure that they can give me what I need, or they have that kind of instinct and intuition and intuitive um, performance gene, I wouldn't have taken the risk. But I'm very proud of her for really stepping up and sort of delivering such a raw performance filled with heart. And yeah, I'm really proud of her.
hmm
So.
hmm Okay. And can you tell me a bit behind about the inspiration of the film? How did you came up with the idea of the film?
Yeah, I grew up, I was born and raised in Lebanon, spent 20 years of my life there, and I was, born into a female-dominated household, and I, I don't know if it's just curious, observant nature where you can't help but notice injustices happening to people around you, and it was mostly the women in my life who I, grew up sort of not making sense of why this system is the way that it is. It expects women to, have a certain place, and they cannot step out of that place. And and this kind of oppressive patriarchal system that I grew to resent very much. And and yeah, just years of seeing a lot of women in my life not living up to their full potential because of this patriarchal system. And I started writing my feature film that hope to sort of bring to light, hope to start shooting next year, when COVID started to happen. This is my third short, but wasn't initially planning on making a third short film. I was fully immersed in my feature, but and this was the story I was ready to tell. And St. Rose is sort of a proof of concept microcosm of the larger picture, that I talk about in my feature about the women in my life. And so yeah, this is sort of where the film came from, and hoping to explore it further in the feature. So.
Hmm And would you say that Lebanon is still a patriarchal society, or yes?
Yeah. Um, I mean, I can only speak for what I know, what I've experienced, what I still see. But absolutely, certain pockets of the country. But yeah, I mean, Arab countries in general in the patriarchal system, that I think it is sort of related to a certain mentality, a certain history. But yeah, I would say very much so.
Hmm And but how is the situation there right now? In Lebanon, we hear mixed things, but I don't know how is it now. Some positive things with what happened in Syria, or I don't know what's happening.
Um, I don't know. It's very tricky, the entire region. I mean, I don't. I mean, it's very kind of absurd. We were in a war, and now there is no war, but there's still a war. And I mean, the region itself has been engulfed in turmoil for years and years. And um, I am hoping that we can unite as a country and start rebuilding a country. There's so much division, there's so much political polarization, and I'm hoping that, I want to be a positive person, but you know, um, getting rid of awful dictators is a good thing, and letting the people choose how they want to be, what country they want to be live in is great, as long as we learn from previous mistakes on a political or geopolitical spectrum, because we've seen places where we've seen countries where dictators were overthrown and the country was thrown into further turmoil. And I hope that, the Lebanon is never an independent country because everybody wants a piece of it. There's so many conflicts of interest, and there's so many interfering elements. And I just hope that everybody can just leave us alone and we can, hopefully build a country. And because there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and not on the political or, there, even from a there has to be some form of renaissance, I believe, with thinking and ways of living, and ways of talking about politics and religion. And, a lot of my work is societal critique. I tend to not necessarily avoid politics, because it's intentional or conscious reasons, but I do believe that everything starts at home and in the family unit, and how that seeps into sort of the larger conversation about society, community, politics, and governance.
And since religion is also common there in your film, I was wondering, do you think that religion is a problem with what is happening in the area in the end?
It's always a problem, because religion and politics are intertwined, and you have people, not religion in itself, but how people choose to interpret it and what they think they're allowed to do in the name of that religion. And that's always been the problem, where people use religion to commit heinous acts or justify heinous acts. And I do believe that there is a lot of dormant bigotry that exists, and not just in that part of the world, but in everywhere, where there is a facade of we're progressive, we believe in liberty, but there is these implicit biases that we all need to face and tackle. And I like to really shed light on all of it, because it is an issue.
And tell me a bit, I've heard that one of the comments of the film is that appearances can be misleading. Is that what you think about life, let's say?
Yeah. There's, you have that really known saying, don't judge a book by its cover. Just because the facade looks polished, that doesn't mean that people are not going through their own silent battles. And I think people are afraid to vocalize, I think, these days, what they're going through, these silent battles, because of social media, because of a fear of appearing weak, because of everybody is putting their sort of best face forward in this curated perfection on the digital, because that's how we sort of interact these days. It's all in the digital world. And so I do believe that once you sort of to crack the veneer, you'll see the pain, you'll see the trauma, you'll see the unspoken tragedy and struggle.
Okay. But tell me a bit about the concept of the maid, whose calmness, I thought it was funny even in the film, how calm she is and what everything is happening around her.
Yeah. Sharon is also our helper, and she's terrific, and she's such a kind soul and a very talented actress in the making, I believe. And she was game, and she wanted to create this character. She wanted to give her a name. We sat down, we had a long conversations about who she is. And this is, at the end of the day, this is a story about two women from different backgrounds, but are dealing with the same struggle of a system that tells them who they should be and what they can do in this world. And they're friends, and they're not at all different just by where they come from. And I wanted to really explore that alliance and that kinship between them. And she, it it's very tricky to talk about the film and the different layers of what I'm hoping to say, but I leave it to people who watch it to really infer what they want, what they can from it, in terms of the character stories and their hidden motives and what's not being said.
And but the man is essentially there only with his voice. But why did you choose this approach? Why not have him more there, let's say?
I think not seeing the source of dysfunction is far more intimidating, and and unsettling in a way. And hearing the voice of somebody that triggers you in all the wrong ways is very unsettling. Hearing um, I don't want to talk about my past. I don't want to talk about previous experiences, but you grow up. I didn't grow up in the most functional household, and obviously a lot of what I talk about and the the critique of a patriarchal system comes from my own experiences with my own father. And a lot of the times, young, and my father bringing his work home, and he's not in a good mood, and he's coming through the door, and I'm in the kitchen, and he's yelling, and you hear the voice, and you hear the proximity of the voice, and it's getting closer, and it leaves you with a sense of there is that emotional, the sensory trauma that lingers. And you just never know when you see that person what kind of mood they'll be in. And if their voice is reflecting kindness, or reflecting terror, or reflecting fear. So it's it's this choice I made not to see the source of dysfunction. Just, to me, unsettling.
Mhm. And what about this concept of people drinking alcohol in in
Yeah.
hiding? Is because Muslims essentially they don't drink alcohol, but wherever I go, I see them drinking a bit, right?
uh, yeah, I mean, it's not so much, the stereotype on religion and culture and habits and customs. And you know what? It's 2024, and you still see a lot of I mean, it is frowned upon in a lot of, even in households that are not super conservative and not super religious. Some people just believe but that wasn't necessarily the point of introducing alcohol to conflict with the family's socioeconomic status or religious identity. It was more so the self medication and um, the need to do it in a place where you feel comfortable, in that hideout place, which is her bathroom. And um and um the hopefully in the future, the alcohol part will be part of a larger conversation, as to why you feel the need, even if you're not super conservative household, why you feel the need to do it in secret, and why you
Mhm.
need to do it in the first place. Because the film takes place before an engagement ceremony, and a lot of the times, there is this ongoing, there's this thing in Lebanon, in weddings and affairs, something called a dry wedding or a dry affair, which is like no alcohol is served, because either one member of the family, or the parents of the groom, or the parents of the bride are more religious than the other family, and everybody is in a state of torture throughout the affair because served. So, that I hope to explore further, but it is a big part of celebratory themes and whatnot.
Mhm, mhm. And tell me a bit about the cinematography in the film. What did you want to do in the visual aspect of the movie, let's say?
Yeah, I mean, Karim Asim, a very good friend of mine and a brilliant DP. Um, we worked together on, you know, trying to create something simple. I wanted the film to feel like a play in a little bit, in some way. I wanted the free of movement. I wanted the actors to really just kind of use the space and move freely, and not just because they're non-professional actors, but as an actor myself, I appreciate when I have freedom in this space, and I can rely on instinct, and I can not necessarily feel the technical aspect of film. And we relied heavily on natural lighting, and really to sort of amplify the saint-like qualities and the confinement that sort of define Rose and the themes of the film. There's always, um, in a way, there's the sort of a halo type light over her in the bathroom, um, or bars, sort of surrounding her. It's sort of, that kind of confinement that she's going through that we hope to achieve. And I do believe there's just simple and also, uh, uh, I don't know how to say it, but again, it was it was simple and liberating, I guess, if I wanted to discuss
Mm-hmm.
in the phone. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And since you talk about the Hello and the sort of imprisonment, is that why you named the title Saint Roses? That's
It,
what the saint is for you.
and yeah, it just sort of the title came from from watching the film. It didn't have a title before the film was shot and completed, and it felt that that was the right title to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And tell me a bit more about that feature you are about to shoot.
Yes, it's currently in late development. It's for now the working title is Plus One, and yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm very proud of the journey it's had so far. I was selected for the TIFF Filmmaker Lab a couple of years ago. It was an incredible experience workshopping the script with very talented mentors and colleagues, and won Best Pitch at the Reykjavik International Film Festival. And yeah, right now we're in the financing stage, and it explores. It's an extension of Saint Rose. It's an extension of my previous work, where it's a dark comedy, it's a societal critique, and it takes place in the context of a wedding or a pre-wedding ceremony. And yeah, I'm excited to bring it to light. I hope to be in production next year. We'll
Mm-hmm,
see.
mm-hmm. And are you still planning to work as an actor or?
Yeah, I right now the focus is very much on writing, directing, but it's very tricky, and you're so an actor, and it's a lot of the times people need to be able to give you a label in order for them to consider you for something. And when that's the thing about this industry, is that you don't want to have too many labels as you're sort of crafting your career, and also you want to be able to do what you want. Hopefully I'll go back to auditioning once there's more clarity in terms of the timeline of the future projects. And but right now the focus is on the writing. But yeah, I'd love to do more acting work in the next year. So.
Mm-hmm. And but do you plan to return to Lebanon to shoot there so something or no? Not.
So I'd
No.
like that.
Mm.
It's always the situation determines things, and we'd have to assess if the situation does not allow us to do it there. We'll explore other options, but I hope to be able to, not just for the sake of the identity of the story and authenticity of the film, but I personally would like that to happen. So,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Panos, thank you. This was lovely.
Okay, thank you.